You're watching the Players Network.
I'm a player, and you're watching Players Network, and my name is Ashley.
Those other football pregame shows are a waste of time. We're the only one dedicated to building your bankroll. So sit back and enjoy. Here comes your winning edge.
Direct from the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. It's the most watched sports handicapping pregame show in the world. Direct from the heartland of America, Chicago's own Emmy award-winning sports insider, your host, Chet Coppock. Now, direct from our studios in Las Vegas, it's your winning edge.
Hi, I'm Michelle Nunes, Miss Hooters International 2006. And now to your host, Mr. Chet Coppock.
The dynamic of his personality is unmatched. Over the past 20 years, Wayne Allyn Root, the legitimate king of Vegas, has been unrivaled as a television handicapper, producing consistent winners week in, week out, record-breaking years. He's won numerous national handicapping titles. He's the author of The King of Vegas' Guide to Gambling, among the 6 books he's written during the course of that time. Wayne Allyn Root is the realization of the American dream. Along with guys like Trump, Schwab, Gates, Wayne Allyn Root has carved a niche that is virtually unmatched. Something I've wanted to talk to you about for a long, long time.
By the way, Trump, Gates, and Buffett don't have a star on the Vegas Strip. I just want you to know that.
No,
just
they
thought
don't.
Just thought I'd mention that.
They don't. And I want to.
And I do.
I do want to mention this. You know, how many gamblers do you know, legitimate point spread players who think they're really great gamblers, who consistently, Wayne, bet high-octane, glamorous offensive teams thinking they can't possibly lose and they're going to get their heads handed to them?
Well, you know, for 20 years now, I've been a professional sports handicapper through all those national handicapping titles, and all my winners, which are usually on underdogs, by the way, we'll get to that in a minute, but underdogs are usually defensive teams, and the glamorous, high-profile teams on national TV are the teams with the quarterback that everybody loves and falls in love with, or the running back that, you know, O.J. Simpson, Dickerson, you name it, the guys who run for thousands of yards. Those are the glamour teams. It's all about offense. The reality is there's only one thing I could think of, one trend, one system that historically covers against the point spread again and again and again for 20 years. Lots of things come and go, but one has worked for 20 years nonstop, and that is betting on defense. If you want to beat the point spread and win outright a majority of the time, you got to bet on defensive teams that are under the radar. When they're under the radar, that means they're value bets. You know, Benjamin Graham was the value investor of Wall Street. His advice is timeless. In all these years, 100 years later, he's still the king of Wall Street. And when Fortune magazine did a profile on me a couple of years ago, they called me the Benjamin Graham of sports gambling, because I'm a value investor when it comes to gambling. And when you look at it over time, teams that have high-octane offense may win a few games here or there, but they don't win Super Bowls, they don't win playoff games, and they don't beat great defensive teams. A great defense will beat a great offense most every single time. And by the way, I'll go on record now. My Super Bowl prediction, the Chicago Bears against the Denver Broncos. Both those teams have magnificent defenses, adequate quarterbacks, and very good running games. And that's what wins Super Bowls. And that's what will cover point spreads from now until eternity. Go with defense. It always beats a good offense.
So you're saying defense, football team under the radar, will produce value. Ultimately, point spread wins. Ultimately, you make money.
And underdogs. That's the other part of my equation. You got to bet underdogs. People bet favorites, and what they don't understand is people are manipulated by the media. Whoever's glamorous, which usually happens to be offense, and whoever's winning the most winds up on the cover of USA Today and the cover of the New York Times sports section and the cover of Sports Illustrated, and then all of them are featured in pieces on the news media, and it's basically just a one big giant media gratification thing. Those players get big heads, and they don't practice as much or as hard. They start to think that they can't lose and that they're the greatest, and God gifted them better than everybody else. But you know what? In the NFL, the difference in talent is this much. Yes, T.O. may be gifted by God right here, but all those other little guys who aren't quite as good, don't get any of the press, they're right here. It's that close. And if you give them emotional or psychological edge on any given day, they leapfrog over the great athletes.
I'll tell you why you're right. The late, great George S. Hallis, who basically founded the National Football League, pulled me aside about 1975 and said, Chester, I want you to learn a lesson. The differentiation between Team 1 and the bottom team in our league, is as thin as a piece of paper.
And same with the best players. And so what is the thing that makes the difference? It's when one team or one guy, one star of that team, is on the cover of every newspaper and on the Wheaties box and interviewed on Entertainment Tonight as well as sports shows and ESPN Sports Center. And you know what? All the players he plays that week, they put an X on his chest. They want him. They want him desperately. They want him badly. They're sick and tired of their own wives, girlfriends, and fans saying, how come you're not as good as that guy? And that's what gives them the edge. And teams that are under the radar are the teams you got to bet on. Those are always underdogs. They're always maligned in the press. And you always get, ta-da-ta-da, here's the drum roll, point spread value. That's how you win in this game. Point spread value, you take the teams that are undervalued, you get more points. They should be getting 4, you're getting 6, and you win the game outright all the time. But when you don't win outright, those extra 2 or 3 points, because the public perception is overvalued, will make all the difference in the world.
All right, you've been doing this all your life. When did you instinctively or pragmatically begin to realize, forget about offense? This game is ultimately about defensive football teams, especially given the fact that the National Football League schedule is not a sprint. It's a marathon.
When did I begin to realize? When I banged my head against the wall, lost enough money betting on prolific offenses, and I lost, just like everybody else. When you listen to talk radio or you go into internet chat rooms, everybody's talking about great offensive juggernauts, and everybody's betting on them. And you tend to read that, and then you read the press, and you go, wow, this guy's going to win. He's unbeatable. I can't bet against him. And you bet on him. And you lose again and again in that situation. Most people never learn from their mistakes. I'm a Columbia University graduate. I'm not a big fan of the highest Ivy League education in the world. I think it's more important to be street smart than book smart. But there's one great thing I learned at Columbia University. History repeats itself again and again. And if you don't understand that, you are fated to lose, to be defeated by history. And again, favorites, you can't win betting them in the long run, and high-profile offensive juggernauts lose to quiet, under the radar, great defense. History will continue to repeat for the rest of all time. You can make point spread success and point spread winners. Make sure you call me, by the way, and check in all the time with Wayne Root, and I'll make sure I tell you which are the best point spread values each week in the NFL, in college football, college basketball, even baseball. It's all available at winningedge.com or our free winners hotline, 1-800-324-WINS.
Simply put, history has never victimized Wayne Root. Quite to the contrary, Wayne Root victimizes history. You have just heard from the master.
The Winning Edge was executive produced by Wayne Allen Root and Douglas Miller. Produced and directed by Pitar Lasek.